Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome to a quick scrap out video. Now, a couple of episodes ago on the Emergency Storage Shed Cleanout series, we uncovered this thermal ticket printer machine. I didn't know what it was initially. We had a quick look in it in one of those episodes, and then in the next episode we were going to scrap it out, and I ended up talking so much about old car manuals that I didn't get back to it. So now we're back here on the workbench with this standalone scrap out video to see what's inside this Boca thermal ticket printer. So let's get into it. Here we go. For those of you that didn't see the last episode in this series, we dragged this out of the shed, which is a Boca thermal ticket printer. So it has some inputs there, pretty simple case, and I don't remember when it dates to. It's got a lock on it, but fortunately it's not locked. It would have been brilliant technology in its time, printing out tickets. There's even some blanks in here. I'm presuming it's thermal paper of some sort. It says OS tickets. I don't know, it's probably about 20 years old maybe. And I don't know that you would be able to use the thing these days. You would need special software or drivers or something for it. I did have a look online and they didn't seem to have any sort of value. And in the last episode, I offered it to anyone local for $10 and no one was interested. So, well, there were a few that were a fair way away, but I wasn't going to post it. So I thought we'd scrap it out. It's got some aluminium shielding in here. There's a stepper motor. There's a large toroidal transformer and there's a decent board behind here. So let's pull it apart and see. I don't know if these tickets themselves are going to have any value. Someone did mention about that. I don't think they're going to have any value, are they? They're unprinted OS tickets. It's not going to be old enough to be of any value. Being thermal paper, I probably can't put it in the recycle bin either. Let's actually see if it is thermal. A little bit of heat should make it go black. Yep, it certainly did. So that hasn't caught fire. It's just gone black from the heat. Obviously, any paper will go black if you heat it long enough. But there we go. And it's not black on the back. So I don't think it's got any use. If anyone wants it, they can have it. But yeah, I'm probably just going to have to put that in the bin. Right, let's get this thing apart. We have... What do we have? How do we get into it? It's all screwed in from the inside, is it? There's a couple of screws down the base there. I guess we'll take the shield out and see where we go from there. They're flathead screws of all things. We'll probably get a bit of hardware out of it anyway. Just looking at how it's fitted, it's got nuts. It must have studs spot welded onto the case because there's no screw on the outside. So that's going to be a little awkward. Okay, I interrupted filming for a little bit there because I couldn't find a little socket to go in here. So I ended up fiddling around with a little spanner, so very awkward to get to. I've got the two screws out of there, but there's two on the other side. But I did get the other screw out of the bottom. So this shielding should come out now. And it's just a decent piece of folded aluminium, domestic aluminium. It's got a pop rivet in there we might just have to take out because it'll have a steel section in it. And a little bit of rubber on that. So yeah, just something for our aluminium pile. Doesn't weigh a great deal. If you do some fabrication in your workshop, there's probably some handy bits of flat there you could use. I'm not going to save all that at this stage because I just don't have room. All right. Oh, it is a nice board in there. We do have a lot of big chips. So some big capacitors. Yeah, a bit of wiring. Quite a chunky board. I think now we can get to the... Oh, what's next? How does the board attach? It's got some flathead screws in the corners as well. So I guess we'll take that out. We can unplug the transformer. I don't know if the transformer itself is going to have any value. I might have to check that out. It's certainly got value for scrap. How does that mount? It's just got one nut in the middle. I think that's all it holds it in. Try and keep it visible for you guys. Right, we have some wiring to unplug from the board. And connectors from the motor assembly back to the board. Everything unplugs, which is kind of nice. And all right, so now we can actually get in and take the board out. I should be able to reach all those screws. Just a screw in each corner, and the board lifts out. So there we go. Lots of chips. These are actually removable. They're all in sockets. I don't expect they're going to be worth much as a chip. Maybe I should check out a couple of numbers. They're all Toshiba ones. But yeah, I don't know if I want to start saving electronic parts. I can't imagine they're going to be really worth selling. There's some EPROMs here and they don't have the tape on the top. So does that mean they're no longer programmed? Looks like they used to have tape. Or maybe we'll just leave all the chips on the board. We've got a bit of weight here. It would go as a mid-grade board, but there's some good weight with the big capacitors and everything, and some sort of large transistor. I think I'll probably just put that in mid-grade boards. There are some gold pins on here for those of you that collect gold-plated stuff. I don't. I could pull all the little chips off, but no, I think I'll... what will I do? I'll check a couple of numbers, but I'm pretty sure I'll just put that whole board in with mid-grade boards. It weighs a bit. We'll get some value there. Okay, we have some hardware down the bottom corner here. There's a switch I want to save, and all the wires unplug from the switch. There we go. So that's quite a nice panel switch. It's probably got an LED or a neon globe in it, perhaps. So yeah, I can get some value. I can get a couple of dollars for that switch, which is much better value than what I'd get for a lot of the scrap. Even that big main board might not even be worth $2. So I always like to salvage parts that can be reused. There's a push button switch in here as well. And what's down the bottom? We have a fuse connector. Let's pull all the wiring off. And some earth wires. So as far as the wiring looms go, I'll just nip all the plugs off and that can just go in my insulated copper wire. We don't need that serial port, or is it a parallel port connector? That can stay in the case, so we'll just cut the wires off. And the plug off the other end. Right, what else do we want in here? I don't think I want any of that. That can all stay there. The push button switch, I'm not sure how it comes out. Oh, it's got a little nut underneath it. Oh yeah, we can take that off. Our spanner's even the right size. So there we have a nice little push button switch. We'll get a couple of dollars for that as well. So I don't need the socket assembly here for the mains, but I will take the fuse. Okay, fuse is okay. So the rest of that can stay there. Right, we need to get the big transformer out. I'll leave the wiring loom on the transformer just in case it has a market rather than just scrapping it. So let's remove it from the case. Oh, it feels like it's stuck in with some glue or something. It's on a backing plate, is it? Oh no, there we go. Okay, oh, there's more wires going this way. Alright, it's a bit sticky. Not sure why it's sticky. But we have some information here. I'll have to check that out before we scrap it, just to see if it does have any value as a component rather than scrap. And the mounting post should unscrew. And now we can get to the other nut that's holding this assembly in. It's loose, so there's only the one nut to go. Alright, so all that assembly can come out. Quite a lot of aluminium there. There's a little motor. There's another little couple of removable chips on boards there, a bit of wire, so we'll get to that in a minute. The casing is actually aluminium, I didn't realise, so we're going to take all the bits of hardware off it. I've already removed the rest of the ones from the back panel because we can then sell the whole case as clean aluminium, and also the lid. So I'll clean it up and then we'll look at this part. Now there's not much contamination to the casing. There are just these studs that are, it's like they're spot welded in, but they're actually not. I think they're just pressed in. You can't even see them from the other side. The paint covers it so well. But one hit with a hammer, I'll do this on the anvil, it's easier because it makes a bit much noise hitting it like this. But one hit with a hammer, okay, how many is that? 4 hits. They pop right out. They actually come out of that side, and I think there, where did that one go? And that's it. It's just a little threaded stud type thing. It's non-magnetic. I'm pretty sure it's stainless steel. You saw 4 or 5 hits there with a lot of noise on the anvil because it has the pressure underneath and it's so solid. Just one tap and they pop out. So I'll just take the rest of these out. There's no rivets in this part. I took the rivet out of the other part. Oh, there are a couple. Oh yeah, there are some just along the base there. So I can easily just grind the top off with the grinder and tap them through. And then the whole thing will probably fold flat into some nice aluminium sheet. Should get a fair bit of weight. I will also salvage the remainder of these rubber stick-on feet. One came off the other day. They'll be handy for replacing missing feet on projects in the future. And then we'll have quite a pile of clean aluminium. Let's take the top off these little pop rivets. And then we can just tap the rest of the rivet through with a punch. Now some yards wouldn't probably even worry about little pop rivets, but I like to have a really clean sample. And also we can now sort of fold it up so it's flat sheet, take up a lot less space. Now these other ones will just hammer through as well with a punch, so we don't have much to go here. With all the studs and rivets out, I realised I still can't hammer it flat because it's actually welded in the corners, and I'm not going to go to the trouble of grinding out the welds. That's fine, that's all clean aluminium now. So we can stack all our other little bits of aluminium in it, plus the other bits we've got over here, the lid and the other baffle. So we'll weigh all that up at the end of the episode. We've also got some aluminium to rescue from here. So this is probably the next and the only thing to do is pull this apart. And I guess we've also got to check out if this transformer has any value as a transformer. I couldn't find any information on this transformer. The part numbers didn't show up anywhere. This one says it's actually made for Boca systems, so it may be a special one. If it said voltages, I might try it because some of these do sell quite okay on eBay secondhand. I saw quite a few make $30, $40, $50. But you need to know the voltages, and there's nothing written on this one. So I'm not going to waste my time with this. I shall chop the wires off and we'll get some insulated copper wire, and then we'll be able to sell the transformer as a transformer. We get a price per kilo for those. And that will just all go into our scrap reserves. So that's ready to go. We'll weigh that up at the end of the video and see what it's worth. And I'll chop the plugs off here, give us a little bit more insulated wire, which will weigh up as well. We're not going to get enormous amounts, but it does all add up. And these plugs off here as well. And then we'll get into this thing. I've checked out the stepper motor. Some of these sell as well, secondhand. I couldn't find enough information to convince me to try and put it on eBay or anything. I may put it in the shop just for $5. Because it's not worth, well, it's probably less than 50 cents as an electric motor for scrap. So I'll put it in the shop for $5. I might even take the gearing off this shaft as well, so I'll leave the belt and the 2 pulleys there with the motor, and some budding inventor or someone much cleverer than I am with manufacturing things may find a use for it. $5 would be super cheap in their eyes. So that's what I'm going to do with that. The rest of it, we'll just pull it apart for the scrap metal. There's aluminium, there's lots of hardware. Interestingly, they're all flathead screws, and yet this thing isn't that old. I don't know why they did that. This box looks like it's actually stainless steel, and there's quite a hunk of aluminium here. So we'll pull this apart and save the motor and the belt and the pulleys. So we'll just have a bit of fun dismantling, and we'll see what all the piles add up to at the end. There we go, all done. And there's something really enjoyable about just pulling things apart. Your brain gets to work on other things in your subconscious, and it's relaxing and it's satisfying, and you find these bits and pieces that you can keep to use. You find other bits and pieces that you know you can sell, and of course they all add up. So we've got a fair whack of aluminium over here. There's some fairly thick pieces, and that's all clean aluminium, including these. I'm wondering if I should save a couple of these for future lathe work. That's the hardware for mounting the transformer. This looks like leather. It might be vinyl. I might keep it just as a handy bit of material in the workshop. The rest of it's just going in the scrap. We have the switches we got out earlier, a couple of fuses, and then we have the stepper motor with the belt and the other pulley. Where did the other... There it is, the other little gear thing, with the grub screws in it. This little piece here can go as irony aluminium. I think that was the heating part that used to heat to print the tickets. And that's the remainder of the lock. I don't have the key for it. They can go in irony aluminium. Quite a bit of stainless steel. It adds up to a bit. The transformer is very heavy. I looked up some of the chips on the board here, just curious to see if they were worth much. Most of them I could find online, and you could still buy them for a few dollars. And I can't guarantee that these work anyway, because I haven't been able to power the machine up. So that whole board, as it is just going in mid-grade boards. We have a bit of wire. The plugs and sockets and bits and pieces can just go in the e-waste bucket. And all the hardware, these chips were off those two little sensor boards. So I do have a jar for chips here, but I'm not going to take the chips off that board, because if I take them all off, it probably won't go as a mid-grade board then, because it'll all just be sockets. Possible future precious metal recovery, I don't know, I'm just putting them in a jar for now whenever loose ones turn up. And all this hardware, I think a fair bit of it is actually stainless steel. See, that one's not, but stainless steel has some magnetic attraction, but a lot of that is actually stainless. So I'll sort it out, because I can get a much better price for a jar full of stainless steel hardware. There's 4 brass standoffs as well. So we'll get the notepad out and we'll tally it all up. There's going to be a fair bit of aluminium. It won't be enormous amounts, but I think we actually will go past our $10 that I was prepared to sell this thing for. Mind you, it's taken a bit of time to do this, and I am going to try and get 5 for the motor. Not sure how we're going to go there. And yeah, all right, I'll get the notepad out and we'll have a look at the list. Here we go, everybody's favourite time of the video, the notepad, the list, the numbers, the money, $24.60. So that's assuming I get $5 for the stepper motor and a couple of dollars each for the switches. That's an advantage that I have over some of you guys that scrap and obviously don't have a shop. But scrap price, $9.40 for all the aluminium. That's over there. The motor, the transformer was $3.20. The circuit board was about $1.10, as was the stainless steel. There wasn't a lot of wire, that was only 80 cents. That's our e-waste, just go in the e-waste bucket. Then there's lots of little bits and pieces that we'll put in jars here, little clips, springs, the chips, some grub screws. That's just some heavy melt steel. I've got a jar for brass hardware, otherwise they could go in my scrap brass. Some fuses, that was irony aluminium. And our stainless steel hardware, I just weighed it up. There's about almost 80 grams there. Now I sell a jar full of stainless steel hardware for a 1 kilo jar for $10. So that then equals about 80 cents. A little bit of normal hardware that I sell for $5 a kilo, didn't weigh that up, and the 2 rubber feet that were left. So there we go. I've got some pretty good value out of this. We really don't have any rubbish other than perhaps these tickets. And I don't know if this is vinyl or leather, as I said before, but it's quite thick and spongy. It might make a good gasket. Otherwise, it's probably rubbish. That's just some shred steel. So there we go. The thermal ticket printer has disassembled with a bit of help, and it's been fun, and we've got some pretty good value out of it. I did offer to sell it to anyone local for $10. Well, that's pretty reasonable value. If we add in our hardware, there's over $25 there. If you don't factor in your time, that's not too bad, is it? So there we go. That finishes the thermal printer. It is no longer in existence. It is now just a sum of its parts, which will be distributed to respective containers all around my shed, and then probably eventually go elsewhere. And we're left with a bit of a list on our notepad and some more space in the emergency storage shed. So thank you for watching, guys. I think this was worthy of a standalone video. I'm kind of glad I didn't squash it in on the end of the other one with the car manuals. I'll probably include this video in the playlist of the emergency shed cleanup, even though it won't have a separate episode number. I might call it episode, what are we up to, 124A or something like that. But anyway, if you like these scrapping videos, I should probably throw in a few more. I've got some ceiling fans out there in the yard that I picked up from out front of someone's house. They were giving them away. They're no good to use, but they're not bad value for scrap. I think it's interesting, particularly for you guys that don't scrap, just to see where a bit of value is. Who knows, I might turn you into scrappers and you might be walking around your neighbourhood picking up things off people's nature strips. But it is fun, it's enjoyable, and if you like to tinker in your shed, you do pick up a bit of useful hardware, and eventually, especially if you save brass or copper or some of the more valuable stuff, you've got a nice little nest egg to cash in for Christmas drinks or something. So if you're not seriously into scrapping, it's not a bad little hobby. Thanks for watching. Another episode here finished. I will scrap out a few things. I've been threatening to scrap out some power boards soon. We'll do those soon because they're in my road and I do want to do that. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.